one of their things they just added to Airbnb in the last year was if you're under 25 years old and you're looking to book locally, within 2 weeks of check-in, it's not even going to allow it. It's going to automatically, the system in Airbnb is going to automatically decline it.
What's the 5 Ps? Do you remember it?
Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
There you go. It doesn't matter how much money we get. If we don't close, it's no money, right? So no close is no money. I'm everything that I am because of my dad's death. And I wouldn't be as successful without his death. Hey, welcome to episode 9 of the Jason Theory. And just to pre-limit, we are going to hit on short-term rentals, Airbnbs, and how to get in. I think this is something that everyone is very interested in. People are kind of frozen in terms of how to get involved in it. We've got Matt here, Matt Gorman, who is an Airbnb specialist, superhost, an Airbnb savant. So we're going to be talking to him about what it takes, his story, and then just the major questions that everyone gets. Because even as a real estate agent, I get a ton of questions about Airbnb because people are always asking, hey, I want to get involved in this because I deal with a lot of investor clients. And there's a lot more to it than you think. But if you have an advisor who is walking you through the same way that you would get an advisor for anything else, the task becomes less daunting and the cash flow is insane. So if you're into making a lot of money the rest of your life, not working as much and setting yourself up, that's kind of what the gist of all of this is in terms of the podcast. This is an episode that you won't want to miss, and definitely give us 25 minutes of your time. So let's get started. Introduce yourself.
So I met Jason. He was a listing agent on a property in Lincoln Park that I closed on November 15th. And he knew what I was doing. And, so we got off on good terms.
I think that property was perfect. And
yeah,
I always thought about that too. We talked about that. And what was just to give a little synopsis, what was the property purchased for?
Okay, that property, yes, it was. They were asking $559. They came down to $549, I believe.
Okay.
It was on the market for 2 months, which is very rare in this market.
But it needed you. It needed you.
Yeah, the key thing is no HOAs. I don't deal with HOAs. I look past that. I just don't even go there.
But we'll get into that. We'll get into that because that's part of the barrier of entry for sure.
That's right.
So how did, besides the property that we met on, what did you do before you got into Airbnb?
I was a financial advisor.
Okay.
I actually just officially got out of that. I was at Prudential 2 months ago, so I'm doing this full time now.
Okay.
I just did not have enough time to be an advisor anymore. I liked it, but I found my true passion in doing this.
How many properties right now are you managing? How is your portfolio?
Yeah, at the end of July, it'll be 14 to 15 different units. In one unit, some of them are homes. I do a bit of rental arbitrage. I do everything. I manage for landlords, and then I own my own properties.
So you're kind of diversifying.
Yeah. So
even in your short-term diversifying in terms of like what you hold personally too and what you do.
That's right. And I guess the key thing here is there's a lot of people that do what I do, but they don't own their own place as well, so they don't truly understand what it's like in the landlord's shoes.
So you're sleeping with the enemy. You're basically do both sides.
Yeah, I know, but it's fun. I truly like when I can bring value to somebody, and we're both happy at the end of the day. That's what brings me happiness and what I enjoy doing.
I know at the property I met you guys were there from the inception and on. Do you work with clients in terms of, hey, I want to get into Airbnb, I haven't acquired the property yet? Do you start the advice then? Like if someone wants to get into this and someone wants to reach out to you, when's the best time to get an advisor like you involved?
Jason, people are coming to me all the time about this stuff. Hey, I really think it's cool. I really want to do this. Who doesn't want to do this? It's very flexible. It creates flexibility. I'm extremely busy, but I can control my schedule and what I do every day. I don't have to go into the office. I don't have to report to a boss or anything like that. I'm sorry, what was the...
So if someone's looking to hire you, when is the best
Yeah.
time to get you involved? So the system, I mean, obviously it'd probably be from the beginning,
Yes.
but do most people come to you before they've purchased, or do they purchase first and come?
I would say there has to be a property that they're honed in on.
Okay.
That they have, or they're... A lot of it can be like, hey, look, we want to get this product. Would this be a good idea to get this? I could help them do that, but nothing's going to get going quick. It's going to take a long, long time.
Okay, and then when you are advising people and people are saying, hey, listen, I want to get into Airbnb, or they own something and they're like, hey, Matt, I want to Airbnb this. There's got to be somewhat of a checklist of things that you say, okay, if you want to Airbnb this, here are some of the difficult things in terms of what you own. So like if you own a condo or you own a house, what are the stipulations in terms of getting into short-term rental?
Yeah, well, it comes down to, there's a few hurdles. City regulations is one of the big ones. Chicago has cracked down here. It's city by city basis, but they've cracked down, and it's a good thing they've cracked down. A lot of operators were not doing the right job, and they're not caring who their guests are. They're allowing anyone into their property. That's something that I completely guard against. I follow all city regulations, and at the end of the day, I'm treating their home as if it was my own. Yeah, I'm making sure that it's out of towners. I don't allow local guests, all that kind of stuff, because I would not be doing what I'm doing now. It's been about 4 or 5 years. I wouldn't be doing this anymore if I was just a regular company out of town, just not caring about the properties and saying, hey, look, here's your money, but then you're getting calls from the cops if there's parties and all.
Yeah, I think what you're hitting on there is huge, because a lot of people, when I talk to them and I talk to them about short term, like if they buy a 2-flat and they're living in it and they're looking for income property, I always say, hey, listen, have you ever thought about Airbnb being one of the units that you're in, like on a 2-flat or 3-flat? And their biggest gripe is, well, I don't know who's going to go there. There's going to be parties. There's going to be all this. So someone like yourself, who's a super host, part of your duty is to make sure that people come in, and you've been doing it long enough. That, like, just like a real estate agent, like people come in, you can read somebody, right? So you've seen enough bad things happen in terms of like how it registers in, because you've showed me, like you have a dialogue with these people that want to rent. You know the questions to ask. You know if this person's a party, or you know if they're not. You know if it's a family. You do background checks on their social media and all this other stuff. Make sure that the person that's coming is not going to damage the property.
100%. And Airbnb is just one of the marketing platforms. I call it a marketing platform. I stay away from the word Airbnb. They're an exceptional company. They are like the top of hospitality when it comes to their market cap is extraordinary, and it's amazing what they've done. VRBO is a good one as well, but they all have generated systems in place that, for instance, we just had one of their systems that one of their things they just added to Airbnb in the last year was, if you're under 25 years old and you're looking to book locally, within 2 weeks of check-in, it's not even going to allow it. It's going to automatically, the system in Airbnb is going to automatically decline it, because that's just raising a red flag.
So this whole, like, I think short term has such a, like, and obviously, and I'm much older, but I think short term to people who have real estate, let's say 45, 40 plus years old, they look at it as a party platform, but it really isn't. But that's a misconception.
It's the opposite.
It's definitely opposite.
It comes down to who's managing your place. That's all it comes down to. It's how I run my business. So, we're Superhost. We pride ourselves on guest review, on hospitality.
And explain Superhost people, because this is
a criteria.
Yeah, and what you have is what really makes this Superhost thing is very important for people that are going to hire someone to manage the property, 100%. Because get into that. What a Superhost is.
It's a criteria that Airbnb gives you. A premier host, also on VRBO, it would be called. It's just a criteria of your average ratings over the last year, your cancellation rate and everything. So, for instance, we don't cancel on guests. There's some hosts that might have something come up and they have to cancel on the guest last minute. I always tell people that are looking to book Airbnbs, and they come to me and they say, well, I don't think I want to stay in an Airbnb anymore. I go, what happened, and they tell the situation, and I go, was it a superhost? And 9 times out of 10 they say, no, what's that? And I say, well, if it's a superhost, your stay, it's going to be more like a 3, 4, 5-star stay at a hotel. Number one is you're not going to get canceled on. So some people come to me and they're like, well, we got canceled on, and then, or cleanliness issues or this or that. There's always just issues. And then the main thing is responsiveness. I'm replying instantly when a message comes through. I'm always there for, I'm always around. I have people underneath me that are always around, cleaners or whatever the guests need. It comes down to hospitality, making these guests happy. And there's just some hosts, sadly, they just don't care,
So if you're looking to start Airbnb, and we'll get into what type of properties that you think are best to have. Mm-hmm. But a couple, and I don't think it's barrier of entries, but a couple of the issues that people have apprehension, which you alleviate as a superhost, is you're going to get top dollar because people search for superhost.
Yes, 100%.
You're going to be able to qualify people and make sure, hey, listen, these aren't partiers. This is, you're not going to have issues with your stuff. The third thing that people are always worried about is like, all right, this person's at my place. How am I going to be protected against, I didn't know this either, damages and stuff like that? Can you get into how that is handled? Because that's a big worry for people.
Yeah, each day it's called air cover. They've had this for a while now on Airbnb. It's a feature where each stay is up to $1 billion in
$1 million,
damage.
right?
$1 billion.
$1 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that?
I thought you said $1 billion because I'm gonna go wreck my own shit.
Yeah. $1 million in damage liability and $1 million in probably like personal loss or I don't think it's personal loss. It's something
injury or something.
Yeah.
And people have their own insurance too, but this is Airbnb's over the top.
That's right. It's just during the stay. So a lot of people will still have their insurance. That's for stuff that's outside of the stay. But if something were to happen, which I've been doing this, knock on wood, for 4 or 5 years, and I mean, very rarely is a piece of furniture damaged.
What's the turnaround on if there is something that's damaged by Airbnb or VRBO or these companies?
Yeah, you just submit. If you pinpoint that it was that actual guest fault, sometimes you won't know exactly. Like if a pull-out couch were to be kind of damaged over time, you can't really pinpoint who the guest was, or you usually have to file something before.
But if something's blatantly broke,
which I've again never really had to do this.
But if
believe
it is,
or not,
do you turn around and buy it and then give the receipt to Airbnb, or is there a delay?
There's, I haven't had to do this, like I said, too much. I've heard from people they take care of everything.
Okay.
It's just you show the receipt
because there's lost rents too.
Just have to make sure you're on top of it right after the guest day. If you wait like a month, they're not going to be like, no, this is way too late.
When you're looking at also, like when I came to you with my property, or someone else comes to you with your property, and you do an analysis, what have you seen in terms of like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, in terms of a year-to-year standard lease versus, obviously there's going to be, this is back of the napkin math. What do you think the spread is for someone just going out and renting something on Craigslist or apartment.com, or hiring you and Airbnb a 2-bedroom, 2-bath?
Oh, I get this question a lot.
It's a good question.
A landlord just came to me, and now I've been working with him since February, and I would meet with him and his financial advisor, honestly, and they were in between having this long-term tenant. He owns 2 units in a building, and we'll talk about the hurdles. So I asked him those questions first, and we got through those, and so he was able to do this. And I said, look, I'll be your renter.
Okay.
I'll be your renter. Okay. I'm gonna make more money on the margin. Okay. But I don't want to do that. I want to show you you have good connections, good referrals, and everything like that. I'd rather show you how this works. You're gonna make your 80%. I charge a 20% management. Just for basically they don't have to do anything with their property.
Yeah.
I just take care of everything. And so that at the end of every month, I send them a monthly report. Send them their 80%. Everything ties up. They're a co-host on the listing. Everything's completely transparent, and they're happy because their 80% is double what they would get Usually
you're looking
around
at so even
double
after,
than what they would get in regular rent.
So think about that. After your fees, everything's paid for. Don't do anything. You're still making double what the rent is.
It depends on some factors. I mean, location, and you want to have it. I mean, up to date, looking nice.
Yeah.
I mean, the way the furniture is.
But
you don't want to make a piece of crap. You are what you are.
Yeah, but it's going to be a spread, right? Because a piece of crap rental is going to be $1,000, and a nice rental is $2,000. So it's going to slide.
Yeah.
Depending on the space.
Yeah, it depends on the furniture you put in there too. There's furniture costs in there for running this. There's some upfront costs, obviously, but that's what it takes with anything. To generate more money.
Would be money.
Yes, it's an investment, and it pays off. City regulations are strict right now, but as long as you follow them and you know how it works and follow the platform and everything, you get the license for every unit. You're off and running.
All right, so I turn around, I have a young investor, because a lot of my first-time home buyers are not buying condos. Good for you. They're buying dirt, 2 flats, 3 flats, which is what you should be doing.
Yes.
And they buy a 2 flat and they want to Airbnb. They own the property and they want to Airbnb one of the units. What are the steps in that scenario in terms of, all right, you don't have to deal with HOA, which is a huge hurdle.
Yeah. I said that before. I just don't really like HOAs just because those rules can always change.
Yeah.
It may be cool that you're paying $100 a month or something, but that can always go up over time, and you may be allowed to do it, according to the HOA at the time, but you never know. On the board, you never know. You have no control, really. Everyone can get together and just say, hey, no, this isn't allowed anymore.
I think as an investment property, I always hate not having full control of the property.
Exactly.
Last year, I sold anything that was a condo that I didn't have full control of. I sold last year. I sold into strength, and now I'm buying buildings where I have complete control.
That's smart.
Yeah, I mean, and I should have done that. And the price of it's not much different, and the cash flow is so much greater. So, and then you also have a ton of other things you could do when you own the property in terms of making the property look nicer, make the unit look nicer, and like you said, and also you could always, if you go on vacation, you can Airbnb your actual owner's unit on top.
That's right. So, I guess it's just adding another spoke to the wheel. It's just adding another feature to your home. I mean, whenever I look at a property, I say, okay, plan A is I can short-term rent this out. That's plan A. Okay, plan A doesn't work. Plan B, I could get a long-term tenant in here and it's furnished, it looks beautiful. They're probably going to be paying over regular market rent to me because it's furnished and it's a great place.
Yeah.
That's plan B. Plan C is we go into a major recession, rents go way down. Okay, maybe I sell the property, you don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
very rarely are you going to be reaching plan C, you know what I'm saying?
You're going to still own the brick and mortar too. So there's always,
that's right.
There's always, and if you look at even if short-term rental, let's just say, even if the revenue gets cut in half, you're still going to be covering your note. You're still going to be making what a full person do.
That's right.
When someone buys a 3 flat, what is your advice in terms of blend? Do you say do all Airbnb?
No,
do
you
one?
can't. Yeah, you can't. You could live in one of the units, have a long-term tenant in one of them,
and then short-term the other one.
Yeah. It's key that you're claiming it as your primary.
Okay.
For registration purposes.
Okay.
You want to get the registration license in that particular unit. But yeah, it's cracked down. Los Angeles and New York City, they're like completely guarded against it. Chicago's a little less stringent. But I don't see anything getting more strict than it is now in Chicago. They've already made it very hard, where that's actually a good thing. In my mind, that's a good thing what they've done, because they brought the supply down for all the people that were doing it the wrong way, and it increases.
Well, anytime there's a barrier of entry, the people that are in are going to be more lucrative because they've gone the way that you need to go to get into that.
Yeah.
Whenever we go to Los Angeles, whenever I go to see my friends out on the West Coast, because we're a family of 5, we never do hotels because we need 2 rooms.
Yeah.
So we always do a
house
house.
or something, yeah.
And it's always less expensive.
Yeah.
And you have the whole house, you have like a pool, there's normally like a basketball court, and it's nice, and you walk up and down like
100%.
Yeah, like renting a house in San Diego, it's really nice.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they do like they like their style, they like to stay at the Four Seasons, you know, and I get all that, the 5-star stays and stuff like that, but it's just a different clientele. I curtail to out-of-town families, vacationers.
And what's the duration of those stays for
on
single
average?
people?
On average, 5 nights.
5 nights.
On average.
Which is
so
great.
You'll have like 3 nights, you know, in Chicago, you can't have one-night stays anymore. It's very rarely 2. It's a lot of 3. Maybe you'll have someone stay for 2 months.
When you have somebody for 5 days, does the cleaning crew that you pay for, do they have to go in every day in like a hotel?
No, not every. No. They can select that if they want to.
Have like a turn down service.
Yeah, but they very rarely will book an Airbnb and expect to get it cleaned every day. I mean, they have their personal. I mean, it's just again, that's different than a hotel.
Because that's going to cut down your expenses, which is nice.
Is the cleanings, yes.
Because the more move in, move out you have, the more.
Yeah. Well, they would pay for it. I mean, the guest pays for it. If they want to select cleaning during their stay, they would pay the cleaning fee.
Oh, and then that's an option.
Yeah.
Option on there.
Well, we got to pay the cleaners. Yeah.
How do you think, like, as your business expands, how do you think you're going to be able to handle scaling what you do since you are the operation?
Well, that's one of the main things that as I'm growing rapidly here, you know, I was pretty busy before this year, and now I've added, you know, 5 to 6 different units just in 2022. You know, we're closing on another home, and that's one of the things. I wake up every morning, I'm like, I need an assistant. You know, I need to get someone underneath me. We're increasing pay to our cleaners. We already have just for cleaning, just because inflation and everything like that, and they just need to drive around and everything. But we're increasing roles and even maybe thinking about giving them bonuses each pay, just because they're going to be dedicated to maybe restocking, or hey, we're going to have to call you if we're out of town and you're going to need to be on call if the guest needs this or that. You're going to have to start making like a checklist of, hey, look, dish pods are here. There's 2 rolls of toilet paper in each bathroom. Like,
so you restock?
I do. Yes, I'm in and out of properties every day. In between,
that's beneath your hourly rate.
No, but it's all. But so. See, that's
you gotta listen. You gotta listen to my first 3 episodes of the podcast.
Part of being a business owner is I need full control. So I need to absolutely know. Okay, so a thing's misplaced. The cleaner misplaced it, or like this is off a little bit. It's just a little touches.
I know, but you can't scale that way.
Well, exactly. So that when I get, you know, an assistant or a manager underneath me, he's gonna learn everything that I'm doing, and it's gonna be very rigorous. It's gonna be like, you're gonna be with me for the first month. And guest communication through the phone is something I'm doing constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly. So he's going to be on here. He's going to see how I'm doing it before he's even messaging. And then, you know, once he understands, once he's doing a good job, then I can kind of sit back and keep on.
So today's your birthday. How old are you?
31.
31?
Yeah.
All right, so you're 31. You're 31 years old.
It's a lame number.
It's okay. It's all downhill after 21. So you're 31 years old, you've got about 16 properties, you're expanding your business, you're working for yourself, you're going to start adding payroll. What about yourself got you to that point? Like what attributes do you have?
Okay. Number 1 is hard work.
Yeah.
Any business owner would tell you that. I mean, you can either have a very crappy restaurant or a very good restaurant that people want to come back to, or they talk about, or it's the same exact thing. It's a business. So it's how our cleaners are hired, how they're trained, a big thing of it is cleanliness in between honesty. Guest communication. Sometimes they'll be pusher buttons. Guests will push your buttons like crazy. I need this, I need that, and it's something we don't include, but you just suck it up and you just deal with it, and you're always nice no matter what. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you always have to eat face.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. Before we got on air, you were talking about this and your own schedule, and I have people all the time come to me, and they'll say, "Oh, I want to be a real estate agent because I want my own schedule and I want to work when I want to work." And I always tell people, I said, do you feel like you're working too hard and you're present 9 to 5? And they're like, yeah, man, and I hate my boss, this and this. I'm like,
it's going to be worse.
Don't get into real estate.
It's going
to be way worse.
Yeah.
Worse.
I'm working around the clock. I mean,
so like
around the clock.
Your routine, you wake up.
I wake up, I look at my messages that flow through. I'll have, this morning I had a few messages. Hey, this shower thing is okay, I'll be by today. The other one was a water heater, tankless water heater. The thing's making an alarm noise, and I know what to do, but I got to get in there because it's being more consistent lately. We have handymen, we have all this thing, but that's all stuff I got to do. So I'm waking up there, so that's the start. Then I look at my pricing systems. I'm making sure now it's peak season here in Chicago, so I'm looking way further out into September, October. We're pretty booked. And then, I'm off to the properties, and then I come back, and then I have referrals. I have other people. I'm going to meet another landlord and regularly. I try to stay away, but this is market rent's over $4,000 apparently a month. So I don't like to. If I'm doing a management deal, I don't have time for where the market rent is below $4,000 a month.
Yeah, okay.
It's just not worth it for me. I'm getting to that point, but if it's right around there or higher, I'm happy to help.
Okay.
It's a lot of it's rental arbitrage, and
so that's my whole point is that people that are trying to get into Airbnb, I've been doing real estate for almost 20 years. The minute I wanted to get into it, the first thing I said is, well, I got to call you. Like, I got to call somebody that this is what they do. I think a big misconception...
Full-time.
I think a big misconception of people that want to be successful is in situations that they're not experts on, is try to do it themselves. When they just realize that if they just paid an expert to do what they want to do along with them, the amount of money you're going to make is far exceeds what the spread is. So if you're charging 20%, but I'm making double on my rent, and forget about the double on the rent, you just heard what he does on a day-to-day basis.
Depends on the month. When we say double the rent, it depends on the month, but it's honestly like starting end of March to end of the year is almost, the peak.
Yeah, but you got to take that. You got to
January, February. No, this is Chicago, so January, February are going to be your. Maybe they'll get a little under the regular, a little bit. It'll be around the market rent for the 2 slowest months.
Okay.
But it depends on location too.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So.
But I'm saying there is an incredible amount of money to be made, and it's incredibly difficult for someone that doesn't do this as a full-time person to actually do all that stuff. The check on the water heaters, the check that the pods are full, the check toilet paper.
Yeah.
If I try to take that all on and then on top of it still do what I want to do,
impossible.
I would shoot myself.
That's why I'm out of what I'm. I used to be an advisor, and I was successful at the start, but I got an opportunity. I met, how I got into it. One of my friends who I met that was in LA at the time, I asked her, I go, hey, she was doing this. And I said, I had a buddy who had a vacant, there was nothing, it was furnished place. And he just moved to London, and I had my 2 buddies lived in the top unit. And so the bottom unit was furnished, all nice looking. He didn't really care. I would come downtown and visit and stay down there. I go, hey, could would you just allow me an opportunity to do this? I'm working with my friend. She does this. She says it works well. You go, yeah, I'll allow it in the contract. So we paid him his rent, his $2,500 a month.
And you just made the arb?
And we just made the arbitrage. And I started to look at the numbers, and this while I was an advisor. And it was a year it went by. Now this is just one place. People come to me, oh, how can I get into this? This is 1 full year, and I'm looking at the numbers going, okay, interesting. How can I grow?
Yeah.
But a lot of people come to me before they even have one place, and it's like, well, you gotta do it. You just gotta do it. You gotta get into it. You gotta either, if you're not doing it at the time, get with someone who is, and try to bring some value somehow to learn.
So if you could tell someone that's just starting out and they're out and about, and we have real estate agents that listen to this too. So the real estate agents that are listening to the podcast have clients that want to get the Airbnb game.
Yeah.
We'll give your information at the end. It's definitely to hand out to others.
what would be, if you could buy one thing and you've got not unlimited money, let's say you got $500,000-$700,000, you could do a small single family outside the city or in the outskirts. You could do a 2-flat in like Avondale, Logan, let's say by the Owl over on South Irving Park or stuff like that, or a condo downtown.
You have 500,000 capital? Just cash?
No, like you can spend up to 500. That's what you're qualified for.
Oh, as a whole.
Yeah. So what avenue do you like as for yourself? What avenue do you like to go to? Would you want to stay downtown in a condo that allows Airbnbs, a single family home, but kind of on the outskirts, but close to transportation, because I know that's important, or a 2-flat?
I would stay away from, I don't know, see, this is the question you're asking me. I don't know enough about Logan Square or Avondale or any of that.
Let's say Lincoln Park.
Well, Lincoln Park for sure.
2-flat.
Well, Lincoln Park 2-flat for sure.
Okay.
Now you live in one of the, you couldn't do both of the units.
Yeah, you live.
Yeah. But honestly, Jason, that's what I'm looking for 2023. So I'm looking at, for myself, is my next purchase is a 2-flat where I'm going to live, and then maybe the other unit we do, what we're talking about.
And then you manage a 2-bedroom, 2-bath in Old Town.
I manage 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It's got a nice rooftop there.
And what is the monthly take on that?
Okay, so
on average,
that's a good, yeah. So that landlord, he was getting $3,900 a month.
Okay, $3,900 a month.
And this was
on a year-to-year lease.
Yes.
With RTLO, with Residential Tenant and Land Ordinance, there's a ton of laws. Once you rent something, just FYI, on long term, you have no control of the property.
That's correct. Yes.
That's the biggest reason you want to get out of that.
Yes. One of my oncoming clients right now, this is funny, she is an attorney that backs the tenants who go against the landlords.
She's like,
and she doesn't want to do long term. She doesn't want. I said that makes sense. So she's
long-term tenants in Chicago.
How funny is that?
It's nuts.
They have a lot of rights.
Yeah,
and that's something I talk about with landlords too. Is you don't want a squatter. You could do all the checks in the world. They can pay you 4 months up front and then stop paying you.
Yeah.
It just.
That's the best.
This is guaranteed. This is more guaranteed as Airbnb type stuff and VRBO. It's guaranteed. It comes. You get paid no matter what. You're getting paid. It's coming to your bank account.
Yeah. It's the biggest point.
They're out of there.
The reason I'm getting away from year-to-year leases is because of the RTLO. But so $3,900 is what you were there.
Yes. So $3,900 was market rent, and they were, one of the guys got a girlfriend. He moved in with the girlfriend. And so it was just one of them, and he obviously found another 1-bedroom. So they were moving out. So I came to the landlord, and he was a buddy of a really good friend of mine, and I saw him at a wedding, and I said, hey, Al, I can manage this place for you, and you'll be making, it's going to be kept in a lot better shape. I'm going to be looking over the property all the time, honestly. In between stays, we're going to be cleaning. The property's going to be great. All I need for you to just get like a new sofa and pay for those little maybe a new bed for the master. The month of July, he's making
back of the napkin math on those upgrades to furnish. $5,000, $7,000.
Not even. To furnish. Okay, so if you're gonna just take a vacant, no furniture or anything in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, it's gonna be around $5,000.
Okay.
With furniture costs rising and everything.
No, $5,000.
5 to 6 maybe with supplies and everything.
Okay.
Like the glasses and the pots, pans, and all that stuff. But this guy, this guy, in the first 6 months of 2022. So we already were doing it all 2021.
Okay.
He doubled what he would get on a yearly basis. He doubled. So let's just call $4,000 a month, $48,000. Right,
okay.
$48,000 he would normally get from the long-term tenants. He got like $80,000.
Yeah,
sent to him in 2021,
and that's after fees. That's after fees.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
Everything.
That's what I'm saying.
That's going to his.
I want to make sure people know that.
Yeah. That's after fees. Yeah. So now in 2022, in the first 6 months, he's already hit what would be his take. And now the last 6 months, usually of 2022 for Chicago, the last 6 months of any year are better than the first 6 months because you don't include January, February.
Yeah.
In the first 6 months of this year, he's already received what he would with the long-term tenant for the full year.
For the full year.
In the first 6 months.
So I'm telling you, it doubles. Everything, all my friends who have
It'll
Airbnbs,
be a little more than double.
yeah, they all, on the average, they all about double. But
They got to be working with the right people.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, they all, I don't know anyone that does it themselves.
No, yeah,
I know one person.
If you got a full-time job and you're doing something else, even if you're not doing anything and you don't understand how to do it, you need someone to help you.
Yeah.
It's and some people will be like, oh well, how about a 10%? 10%. I said, I mean, this isn't property management.
Yeah.
Property managers are paid around that because they're
property manager get 9%.
Yeah.
And all they do.
Exactly.
And a real estate agent.
They're not generating more cash flow for you or anything. Like, there's a lot of value to this.
No, and then on top of it, you have to still pay for everything else.
Exactly.
All right, we'll get you out on this. Two things. Where do you see short-term rental? Where do you see it going? Where do you see it increasing? Do you see individuals just kind of dominating the space? Where do you see things going?
So this is my take on this. People are always going to travel.
Okay.
And amidst COVID, this was kind of the test and why I got out of my full-time job right here, is because amidst COVID and everything, it's probably going to be the worst it's ever going to be. We had just locked down.
Yeah.
Okay. People weren't allowed to travel. We grew through that.
Yeah.
We grew.
Yeah.
So if we have another COVID, I know that I can get through it or grow. I mean, so what I'm trying to say is people are always going to travel.
Yep.
Airbnb is always going to be around. Airbnb is I think I heard this before. Their market cap is the Wyndham, the Hilton, and the Marriott combined.
Jesus.
Airbnb market cap. I think they're a pretty good company.
Yeah.
Yeah. These things are all over. People are adapting to the idea. You have a lot of the old timers who want to do it their way and they want to, I just want to stay at a hotel or something. But they're starting to stay maybe at someone's place, an Airbnb somewhere where they go out and travel with their family and they get the family all together in one living room and kitchen. And
all the commercials for Airbnb and VRBO are all older senior citizens now. If you watch the commercials and pay attention, I'm like, okay, so all the young people know that this is what to do. They're attacking.
They have some good commercials.
Yeah, they're good.
Short and sweet.
All right, so if someone wants to get a hold of you, get into the game, they've got properties, they want to run them past you to see if you would manage them and or they're possible to be managed.
For sure. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
So if it's possible. I say, look, is there a HOA? Is this a full address? Sometimes there'll be a unit number and then there's other units that are registered for that address. That might be iffy, So there's a lot of hurdles.
Okay. And how do they get you on the phone? Do you have...
Well,
what's the best way to get a hold of you?
My phone.
Okay, well, here's your opportunity.
They can reach out to you and then you see. So.
Okay, well, if you wanna know more about Airbnb, you wanna talk to Matt, definitely give me a call or DM us off the pod or our social media. I will pre-qualify you and then I'll hand them over to you because I know what the qualifications are. Thank you so much for your time. It's so interesting. Everyone is really interested in Airbnb, short-term rental, and the fact that you can just keep making money the rest of your life this way. We didn't even get into the fact that it's a great way to pay down debt. And, there's so much other stuff that we could talk about. It's just investment real estate and just doubling, from what I've seen, almost doubling the money that you're bringing in and getting away from a lot of the tenant laws in Chicago, which are very anti owner. So thanks so much. We'll be dropping this next week and we will see you for the next episode. Have a good weekend.